This kid was so quiet, he was made fun of for it. People said he was weird, awkward, boring, but then one day, the talent show happened. His name was Marcus. He never caused trouble, he sat alone at lunch, and he didn't talk much. So when his name got called at the talent show, people were like, wait, Marcus? Then Marcus walked on stage. He didn't have a smile, there was no intro, he just grabbed the mic, looked at the tech guy, and nodded. Then he opened his mouth and he sang opera. Like real opera. Some of it was in Latin, he had vibrato, the entire auditorium was silent. People were gasping, one girl started crying. This is beautiful. At the end of the song, he stopped and put the mic down. A second of silence, and then... yes! Standing ovation, and he's standing there, taking it all in. Thank you! He was kind of a legend for the rest of the year. But after that year, he had transferred schools and nobody saw him again. Until a couple years later, he got a full-ride scholarship to Yale, where he's now getting his doctorate. You know, people were calling him weird, but turns out he was in a whole different league. The kid's gonna be a star. You are not allowed in the nurse's office anymore. He thought she was joking. She wasn't. This kid got banned from medical care. So in 6th grade, there was this kid, let's call him Owen. Always had some weird stomach thing, or headache, or sore throat. Honestly, yeah, he faked it a lot. He'd go to the nurse's office like it was his part-time job. But one day the nurse goes, Owen, we've seen you 9 times this month. From now on, no more nurse visits unless it's an emergency. He's like, okay, what? Well, 2 weeks later, gym class. They're playing dodgeball and Owen face plants into the floor. He's seeing stars, he's holding his head. Oh man, he's in a lot of pain. Coach goes, I'm gonna take him to the nurse. He walks into the nurse's office and the nurse literally said this, Coach, he's playing you. I promise you, he's playing you like a fiddle. He doesn't need the nurse right now. He's completely fine, okay? I don't wanna hear it. I have a phone call in 5 minutes. Okay. So for sure, the nurse was being 1000% out of line there. Super dangerous. Anyway, Coach takes Owen back to the gym. How you feeling, buddy? You okay? Well, now Owen's slurring his words like, I'm fine. I think I just need a nap. Eventually, the coach freaks out. He doesn't even want to deal with the nurse anymore. You guys just sit in the bleachers for the rest of class, okay? I'm taking him to the hospital. He leaves the rest of the class there in the gym and he drives this kid to the hospital himself. Turns out, Owen actually had a mild concussion and the coach doesn't take this lightly. He brings it up to the school board. The school board is now in panic mode. The nurse is being investigated. Owen is no longer banned from the nurse's office. This could have very well been a lawsuit. Owen fully recovered. But you know him, once he realized the nurse ban was off, he was still in there multiple times a week just to skip class. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Where to get all this stuff? I don't know, but it's beautiful. So sophomore year of high school, this one kid puts a bin outside the cafeteria. Taped to the side, it says, unofficial lost and found. Nobody thinks much of it, and people start using it. A water bottle here, a hoodie there, stuff just starts showing up in the bin. And every day, it's empty again. Clean, wiped out. No one knows where the stuff from the previous day went. And no one asked. At first, people think he's just bringing it to the office. Even the teachers were like, oh, that's so nice of him, he's helping out the school staff. Here, I found this shoe. But he never actually confirms what he's doing with the stuff. He even moves the bin around. Some days he's outside the library with it. Other days he's by the gym. Sometimes he's spotted walking the hallway alone, picking stuff up like he's actively looking for lost items. And this goes on for 2 years. So, senior year, the last day of school. You know, it's pretty relaxed. People were just wandering the schools. Easy day, you know, it's the last day. Well, there's a paper sign taped to the gym doors. The sign said, the Hall of the Misplaced. People walk in, they're curious. What is this place? Oh my God. This kid turned the gym into a full-blown museum. Tables, spotlights, handwritten labels, all of the missing stuff displayed. He made sections. The wall of gloves, the charger graveyard. The fact that this dude's been pulling this off for 2 years is insane. At 3:45 that day, he packed up everything and left with the stuff. He didn't even give it back to the people that wanted it back. After he walked out, he was gone. And he didn't even show up to graduation. Honestly, that dude's a legend. Where's my marker? Where's my marker? Miss, there's another marker right there. It's not the same. So this teacher had a favorite marker. Not the kind of favorite where she used it. It was the kind of favorite where she just talked about it a lot and kept it close. It was a purple Expo marker with a chisel tip. She called it her thinking marker. You know, she would use it to like teach and whatever. She kept it in a separate drawer and she said that nobody was allowed to use it. One day she opens the drawer and it's gone. She pulls the drawer out of her desk, turns around and holds it up to the class. Who took my purple marker? Class is confused. They're like, here we go. But she doesn't start class. She just paces the room. You know, I'm not even mad. I'm just really, really disappointed in you guys. That marker was a gift. And it meant something to me. And everyone's just sitting there like, yo, is she crying? Over a marker? Then she locks the door. We are not leaving until it's returned. She gives a whole 15-minute speech. She called it a teachable moment in betrayal. People started checking their bags just to prove that they didn't have it. They were dumping everything out like, miss, we don't have your frickin' marker, lady. Eventually, someone finds this purple marker under her desk. It rolled behind a storage box that she kept down there. She picks it up, holds it in the air, and she says, see? This is why trust matters, you guys. Class ended 10 minutes late that day because of this teacher's nonsense, and nobody learned a thing, except for the fact that maybe she is weirdly in love with an expo marker. Dude, don't shoot it from there. If it sticks, I'm a legend. It started with one kid. He was bored during history class, and he sat in the last row of the room. So because he was bored, he pulled a rubber band from his backpack, and he shot it at the wall behind him. Thwap. It stuck to the wall. No one noticed. The next day, he did it again. Nice. Thwap. 2 rubber bands stuck to the wall. And then it became this thing. It was like an unspoken challenge for the kids that sat in the back of the room. The challenge would be to see if your rubber band can stick to the wall. And kids did whatever it took. They dipped these rubber bands in spit, juice, soda, anything that made them tacky enough to hold. It was disgusting, but it worked. And over time, the wall started to change. There were layers. Bands stuck on top of other bands. It looked like some weird, stretchy art project. And the teacher, he never turned around. He was one of those teachers that stood in the front of the class the whole time and he lectured from the board. He never noticed a thing. But then one day, they got a sub, and the sub noticed immediately. She walks in, she sees the wall, and she freezes. And all the students are waiting her to be grossed out or to snitch to the principal or something. But instead, she walks over, pulls out a pen, and leaves a note on the wall. When she walked away, the kids checked the note. All the note said was respect. That's awesome. When this dude was a kid, he was spending the night at his friend's house. It was a super hot day and they had just come back in from playing outside. And these dudes were scoundrels. They were playing with mud and dirt, sand. They were sweaty. So before dinner, this kid wanted to take a shower. So he figured that wouldn't be an issue. He grabs a towel, he walks to the bathroom, and as he's about to close the door, his friend's mom says, "Hey, no showers before dinner." This kid kind of laughs because obviously she's joking, right? I mean it. He paused. He was like, why? Because it confuses your stomach. Confuses your stomach? What the heck is she talking about? He stood there, still sweaty, covered in dirt, mud, sand, towel in his hand, with his friend's whole family nodding to him like this is some normal situation. So he sat at the table, feeling completely nasty and trying to eat a slab of lasagna that he said was super mid. And when he was finally done, he stood up to go use the shower. That was great. Thank you. I'm gonna go shower. And that's when his friend's mom said this. No, wait at least an hour. Your body needs time to transition. I think my body's fine. I'm just gonna wait at least an hour. Your body needs time to transition. At that moment, he just sat back down. He silently decided that he was never gonna come to this friend's house ever again. Now, this principal had a secret. This person said that back in 8th grade, there was a principal named Mr. Reynolds, and Mr. Reynolds was way too intense. He had this whole no phones in school rule, but he took it to a weird level. If he even saw the outline of your phone in your pocket, he would stop you in the hallway. Hey, give it to me. No, I'm not even using it. Doesn't matter, you know the rules. And the worst part, he'd keep it locked in his office until the end of the day. And if it was like the 3rd or 4th time he had to take your phone away from you, your parents would have to come in and get it. So absolutely just crazy. Well, this one girl, let's call her Ashley. She had had enough. He took her phone one day for checking the time during lunch. Hey, give me that! I'm literally checking the time. You know the rules. So the next day, she told her older brother, who was already graduated but still had friends at the school. And he came up with a plan. Got you, sis. That weekend, Ashley's brother made a fake email address, pretending to be from the school's IT department. And he sent an email to the school board, saying there was suspicious activity coming from the principal's computer. Send. Take that, Mr. Reynolds. Now, he was just trying to make Mr. Reynolds' life a living hell. He didn't think anything of it, really, just to mess with him real bad. But on Monday, an actual person from the school district showed up at that school. Turns out, Mr. Reynolds had a handful of students' phones backed up on his computer. He found out how to bypass passcodes, and some of them didn't even have passcodes, so he was just uploading stuff to his computer. Text messages, photos, everything. A complete invasion of privacy and super, super creepy. And he was fired on the spot. So Ashley's brother trying to prank the principal turned out to be something that actually needed to happen. This dude was messed up. No goodbyes, just walked out the building while the students watched. Get a life, loser! Screw you, Mr. Reynolds! You're a freaking creep! Bye! Ashley got her phone back, and the students got a principal that actually cared about them. One day the school had a guest speaker come for an assembly. The whole school was packed into the gym. Hundreds of students, everyone bored out of their mind. The speaker was some local business guy, and all he was going to be doing was talking about leadership and hard work. Nobody was paying attention. Until about 20 minutes in, a student, let's call him Kevin, stood up. Excuse me! The entire gym went silent. Everyone looked at him. Even the speaker stopped mid-sentence. And in a serious, confident voice, the kid says, I have a question. Yeah, totally. What's your question? Then Kevin, without hesitation, asked, would you rather fight a gorilla once a year but you get a sword? Or have to fight a chicken every time you open a door forever? The entire gym lost it. The teachers were stunned. The speaker stood there processing. Finally, I think I'd take the gorilla. And Kevin just nodded. Respectable choice. And he sat back down. Well, as you can imagine, the entire assembly was completely derailed. For the next 10 minutes, students were arguing about the gorilla or the chicken. The gorilla's the obvious choice. I mean, what are you gonna do? Every single time you open a door, you gotta fight a chicken? I just won't open doors, you idiot. Like, that's realistic. How are you gonna go forever without opening doors? Principal finally got on the mic. Everybody shut up! And the assembly was cut short right then and there. And after that, the would you rather fight a gorilla or a chicken became the most debated question in this school's history. People were making posters and hanging them on the wall. Gorilla versus chicken. Kevin never really said anything about it after that day. But for the rest of high school, people would walk past him in the hall and just whisper, hey Kevin, respectable choice. And that's how he became a legend. Dumbest things people got in trouble for at school. In middle school, this kid's grandma had just passed away, and it was his first day back after the funeral. This is kind of what happened. Did everyone turn their homework in? I only count 17, and there's 20 of us, so who didn't turn their homework in? I didn't. And why didn't you turn it in, Kyle? Did you even do it? You should know this. My grandma just died, and I was at her funeral over the weekend. I'm sorry, but I wasn't thinking about homework. Well, that's a shame, Kyle. I'm giving you a 0 for the entire week. Are you dead, Kyle? No. Homework is more important than funerals, as long as you're alive. Well, that pissed him off, and he lost his mind. You are an absolute bitch. My grandma just died. She was my favorite person in the entire world, and I was at her funeral over the weekend, and now you're punishing me for not doing some stupid math assignment? Screw you! I wish you died instead of my grandma. That's it! Go to the office right now. Good heavens. He explained what happened to school administration, but nobody cared. He was suspended for a week. One day, this class had a brand new substitute teacher. Nobody had ever seen him before. He just walked in, slammed his briefcase down, and said, I don't care what you do, just, try to be quiet, okay? Bad move on his part. Because the second he said that, all hell broke loose. Two kids started playing Uno across their desks while one filmed the thing like it was a documentary. Some kid in the back just stood up and left. He didn't even try to sneak out, he just walked out the door. And the sub did nothing. At some point, this kid named Marcus stood up and started teaching the class. So I'm gonna teach you guys how to care for an axolotl. And the sub just nodded like he was fine with it. That's when a couple students who were sitting near the front row grabbed the substitute's briefcase and opened it. Inside was nothing. No papers, no lesson plans, no pens, nothing. That's when the sub looked at the class, nodded, and said, all right, see ya. And then he left. Everyone was like, what the heck just happened? No one knew who he was, where he came from, or why he was there in the first place. But I bet you that day in class was the funnest ever. This kid ran a school candy empire. When this dude was in middle school, he realized something. The school cafeteria charged way too much money for snacks. So he decided to start his own business. He went to the dollar store, bought a huge bag of candy for cheap, and started selling them at school. And let me tell you, this is a great idea. I did this when I was in school. At first, he sold candy bars for $1 each. You know, making small profits here and there. But the more kids that started buying from him and the more product he was buying himself, he raised his prices. $3 for Snickers, $5 for a bag of Sour Patch Kids. People were paying and business was booming. He ran this candy empire for a while. He even had employees that would sell the product in different hallways at the school. But one day, the lunch lady saw him selling these snacks during lunch, and she got mad. I wonder if it's because kids weren't buying their snacks anymore, they were buying this dude's candy. So she turned him into the principal, and everything was shut down. In total, this kid made about $2,000. He started a business at school and he made absolute bank. So this kid loved spicy food. So one day he brought a bunch of spices from home, and during lunch he started putting these spices into bags of chips, just testing out different flavors. He tried it. It was good. He let his friends try it. They loved it. So the next day, a bunch of people were asking him if they could make them their own bag of these seasoned chips. So he began bringing extra chips and extra seasoning to school and selling these seasoned chip bags for $2 a piece. But baby business was booming. Demand exploded. Within a month, kids were paying $5 a bag, and he had a full operation. He would mix the spices at home, season the chips and pack them in Ziploc bags, and he would be selling them before school even started every day. And every day, he sold out. People couldn't get enough of these awesome chips. But one day, a teacher caught a group of students standing in the hallway, secretly passing around these spicy chips like it was contraband. So she shut it down, reported this to the principal, and someone gave him this kid's name. So this dude was called to the principal's office. But here's where it gets awesome. The principal thought this idea was absolutely genius. Instead of stopping him, he told the kid to turn it into a real business. The last I heard about this story was that the kid was trying to get an Instagram page started and a website. He was going to begin selling these chips outside of just school. And I hope the best for him, because man, you gotta respect the hustle. The school printer hustle. One of my subscribers sent in this story about a business he ran in school. So when this kid was in 9th grade, his school charged 10 cents per page to print anything from the library computers. Now the library had some of the only printers in the entire school, and nobody carried cash or change on them, so this was a real pain in their ass. And the school system would not take digital payments. So kids were constantly begging teachers to print stuff for them, which the teachers thought was annoying. Well, one day this kid noticed a printer sitting in the corner of one of the unused computer labs, unplugged. It was just sitting there collecting dust. So at the end of the day, he went to that computer lab, grabbed the printer, and tried to get out of the school as fast as he possibly could. He made it. He went home and he had the printer with him. He spent $20 on ink for that specific printer. He then got a big duffel bag and set the printer up in his duffel bag. The next day, he started offering his own printing service. But unlike the school, this kid was gonna take digital payments. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, you name it. He even took lunch trades. He printed it all. Homework, essays, last-minute assignments, nothing was off limits. At first, he just charged 5 cents per page to print. He wanted to undercut the school to get the business, but once word started to spread, it didn't matter. People were willing to pay up to 50 cents per page, just because it was convenient. Some teachers, who didn't have printers in their classroom and hated using the library printers, started paying him as well to print out worksheets for their class. And bingo! By the end of the semester, he had so much business that he had to bring a second backpack to carry all the printer paper in. This wasn't just a side hustle. This was a full-blown underground print shop. Genius. This one kid had hundreds and hundreds of zip ties, and every day he would zip tie a bunch of people's stuff to different things, like backpacks to desks, lunch boxes to railings, belt loops to chairs, and people were getting so pissed, and they wanted revenge. So what this kid did was he sold them zip ties. Business was booming because he did this to a lot of people. They bought zip ties from him and got him back. And once they were all done getting revenge on him, they started doing it to other people, and then those people wanted revenge on them. So they bought zip ties from him. He made hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and he had a lot of returning customers. Nice. This kid's parents are crazy for this, so this guy said that on his 5th birthday, he woke up very excited for the day. He was hyped, he was bouncing off the walls, and his parents were obviously irritated. But instead of sucking it in and letting their son have a great 5th birthday, this is what they did. They made him get into the car, told him that, "Oh, we're just getting some ice cream, son. I love ice cream." And they drove off. But they didn't go get ice cream. Instead, the parents drove this kid to the local orphanage and said this to him: "You see this, son? It's an orphanage. You can either choose to behave, or we're dropping you off here right now." What? No. Get out of the car then. Get out of the car. No, I'll behave. They then went back home and told the kid to go to his room. And that's where he spent the rest of his birthday, in his room, crying by himself.
So teachers are starting to realize that kids are using ChatGPT. There's a website called Quillbot, which you'll go here and get the paper. Then you take it from there, put it on Quillbot. Then Quillbot makes it seem like you wrote it, so the school cannot track it.
Not anymore. Quillbot is detectable, as you can see right here. I mean, this is the proof. Quillbot does not work anymore, but there is a solution. Use this tool instead to beat Turnitin and GPT-0, and it's completely free. It's called Grubby AI, and it's an incredibly effective AI text humanizer that is 100% undetectable by AI detectors. School's right around the corner, and I think this thing's gonna save your life. One day at this one high school, the science class was dissecting sheep brains as a part of a science lab. Well, as the students were cutting up bits and pieces of the sheep's brain, I guess one of the kids had a pretty crazy idea. He took a few pieces of the sheep brain and put them in his pocket, and that day during lunch, he put pieces of sheep brain in the self-serve ranch bowls. So when the students went to serve themselves ranch, a few of them would get brain on their plate. Pizza day, ranch with pizza, ranch with pizza. Oh my god! At first, obviously, no one knew it was sheep's brain. They thought it was a human brain. And the rest of that day was absolute chaos. Okay, so what's going on with school lunches these days? A high schooler took pictures of their school lunches and put it on Reddit, and most of them look absolutely disgusting. Like one day, all they served was a plate of nachos. Here's a nasty looking chicken patty with like 4 fries. The thing still looks frozen. Is this cheese curds and chips? Who's in charge of the lunch? Oh, here's another chicken patty with some different fries, and this one looks even worse. All right, the next one's a hot dog, and this is absolutely abysmal. What in God's name is that? This one's I couldn't even tell you. This one day, they got a Hot Pocket and broccoli. That's the laziest meal I've ever seen. And this last one looks like a beef sandwich and fries. This one actually doesn't look too bad, but it's kind of sus. Is this a problem everywhere? Like, are your lunches good? Or what's going on? Tell me. This kid's an absolute genius. So one of my followers is running a business in his school right now, and he's been running it for about a year and a half. So this dude told me he carries around a giant backpack and he sells stuff out of it. And there's actually a teacher at his school who helps him sell the big stuff. This guy sent me some pictures of his product. You see here, he's got like soda, candy, there's Prime, there's Oreos. This guy goes all out. Look at this stuff. And for the best part, he sent me pictures of the profit he's made. Look at this wad of cash, just bank rolling in every single day. I mean, come on, obviously business is absolutely booming. He told me in total, so far, he's made over $3,000 and he has no plans to stop. Gotta respect the hustle. Would you run a business at your school? Okay, this would freak me out. So a family was camping in Australia and they were sitting around the fire eating some food when suddenly their campsite was invaded by robber crabs, or otherwise known as coconut crabs. This whole situation is super creepy, but what's even weirder is how they don't seem to care at all. This dude's eating, this dude's just scrolling on his phone. This girl seems to be enjoying herself. Australians are built different, I'll tell you that. What would you do for a shamrock shake? Well, this dude went to great lengths. He was sitting in English class one day. His English class was on the first floor of the building. As he was sitting there, he realized, today's the last day of the year for shamrock shakes. He had to do something. He didn't want to wait till after school because they could be all gone by then, or they could stop selling them early. But he had to get his hands on one last shamrock shake, so he waited until his teacher's back was towards them. He then quietly opened the classroom window and jumped out. He ran to where his bike was locked up, and he biked all the way to McDonald's. Shamrock. He got there, he went in, he ordered 1 shamrock shake, please. And they gave it to him. A fresh, green shamrock shake. He biked back to school with the shamrock shake, locked his bike up, climbed back through the window, and sat down in his desk. Well, obviously the teacher saw him climb back in with the shake, and he was given a detention. But he said it was absolutely worth it. Craziest things found in fast food. In 2015, this man, Mr. Dixon, went to a KFC. He ordered the chicken tender meal to go, and he took them home to eat them. But as he was sitting down enjoying these chicken tenders, one of them tasted strange and was kind of chewy. He then gave that piece a closer look, and he saw what looked to be a deep-fried mouse. Completely disgusted, he took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook. The next day, he took it back to the KFC and he told the manager. And the manager freaked out and said, "Yes, I am so sorry, that is a mouse. Would you like a free meal?" she said. He declined the meal, took that fried piece of mouse back home and hired a lawyer. But the people at KFC corporate were not buying it. They had this guy send that mouse to their offices to be tested. And I guess it was actually chicken and not a mouse. That seems a little sketchy because that manager was pretty sure it was a mouse. This kid ran a super weird business at school. My follower sent me the story about someone who went to his high school. Well, I guess one day he came to a realization that almost everyone is ticklish. Well, during lunch at the school, there was a classroom that no one used. It was the science room. There were no windows in this classroom either. Well, one day he told a bunch of people to come to the science room during lunch, and a bunch of people did. When they got to the science room, they saw this kid, and a giant sign that said, "Anyone that can be tickled for 2 minutes without squirming or laughing wins food." And in that room was a giant table with a bunch of food and snacks on it, and he charged a $10 entry fee if anyone wanted to do the challenge. Well, surprisingly enough, almost everyone accepted this challenge. People were paying this guy to tickle them, and if they could handle being tickled for 2 minutes, they would win a bunch of food from the food table. This went on for 6 months, and in total he made over $5,000. Well, one day, someone couldn't pass the challenge. They got mad and told the principal, and the principal shut him down. That's crazy. Genius ways kids cheated on a test. This person said that at his high school, he had this big Spanish test one day, and him and a few of his other friends in the class did not study for it at all. It was a pretty important test. If they failed the test, they were gonna fail that class. So they came up with a genius plan. You see, this small group of students sat in the last row of the class, and there was a supply closet back there. So what they did was they paid the exchange student from Mexico $50. They brought him in the classroom at the beginning of class, gave him a blank copy of the test, and hid him in the supply closet in the back of the room. The foreign exchange student from Mexico would then whisper the answers to the students sitting next to the supply closet in the back row. This guy and his friends got an A+ on that test, and the teacher never found out. Delivery driver's worst experiences. One night, this dude was delivering KFC to a house. He gets there and he knocks on the door. A middle school aged kid then opens the door. He then yells upstairs to his friends, "Hey guys, the chicken idiot is here! The chicken idiot is here!" That's when about 8 other kids appear at the top of the stairs, and they started throwing coins down to pay for the chicken. Chicken idiot. "Can you guys just hand me the money, please?" After he asked that, they started throwing the coins harder. Chicken man, stupid chicken man. That's when he snapped. These kids made him so angry that he picked up their bag of chicken and chucked it at their wall. "Hey, what the heck?" And he left. He told his boss what happened when he got back to the KFC. Those kids' parents later called to complain, but the boss had this guy's back. He simply told those kids' parents to screw off. Epic. This guy thinks what he's doing is normal. I don't think it is. This dude is 20 years old and he lives alone. Growing up, his mom kept their house pristine, incredibly clean 24/7, and that has stuck with him. So recently, when he had moved into this new place by himself, he couldn't help but to think, how many germs from the outside do we attract into our houses via our clothes? And that thought messed with him. So every time he would come inside the house, he would immediately change clothes and throw the other ones in the washing machine. Well, he realized that whenever he had guests over, they wouldn't do that. Obviously, why would they bring a change of clothes to hang out at his apartment? So, a month ago, he bought a bunch of long, clear raincoats. But recently, he had invited a friend over to his apartment. "So, do you have a change of clothes?" "No." "Why?" "You have to wear this raincoat then, before you sit down anywhere." "You've got to be f***ing kidding me." "I'm serious." Peace. His friend left and hasn't answered any of his calls since. He thinks his friend is overreacting. What do you think?
অবাক হলেন? বছরখানেক আগে পারিবারিকভাবে আমি আমার বন্ধু
বল 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 চুপ হয়ে গেলি কেন বল কি ক্রিকেট খেলো খেলবি খেলবি আমার সাথে
এখন বলো আমরা অঙ্ক ক্লাস করব গতকালকে আমরা কি শিখছিলাম
বলে দেই আসলে এক ভদ্রলোকের কাছে একটা কাজ করে দিব বলে কিছু টাকা নিয়েছিলাম
তোমাকে তোমাকে কি করব
আস্তে কথা বলেন মানুষজন দেখতেছে আপনার সম্মান
নিতে পারি জিনিসটা মাথায় বসে গেছে আসলে বিশ্বাস হচ্ছে না
ভয় লাগছে আমার ছাড়েন ওকে
কে
বললাম তো আমার বন্ধু ছাড়েন
কিরে মাম্মা, কই রে তুই? কতক্ষণ ধরে দাঁড়ায় থাকবো? কনসার্ট তো শুরু হয়ে যাবো। তাইলে তো বন্ধু রীত লেগে গেল।
আরে বেটা এত লাফাইস না, যেরকম শুনতেছি পরীর মতো এরকম করলে তো বেটা
যা পাল্লাটা ভালো, দেখা যাক কি করে শালা।
বোবা, হ্যাঁ কথা বলতে পারো না?
বিয়ান সাহেব, আসসালামু আলাইকুম বিয়ান সাহেব।
এক্সকিউজ মি,
তাই তুই কেন ফোন যায় না? না, তোমার নাম্বারটা তাড়াতাড়ি করে বলো।
ঘন্টার পর তো গার্লফ্রেন্ডের লেগে ওয়েট করতে পারো, আর বন্ধুর লেগে 2 মিনিট ওয়েট করতে পারবো না?
ও এখন আমার দোস্ত, তাইলে তো বন্ধু রীত লেগে গেল।
আরে বেটা এত লাফাইস না, যেরকম শুনতেছি পরীর মতো এরকম করলে তো বেটা
বাদ দে, কালকে যাত্রা দেখা হবে।
ঠিক আছে মামা,
ঠিক আছে মামা।
ঠিক মতো যা।
শালা পারলাম না রে।
তোর তো হাওয়াটা একটু হয়ে গেল।
তুলি, তুই তো সুন্দর নাম। আচ্ছা শুনো, আমি জিসান, আই লাভ ইউ।
আপনাদের তো চিনলাম না। আমার বড় বোনের যে দেবরগুলো আছেন তো সবাইকেই চিনি, বাট আপনাদেরকে তো চিনি না।
তুমি পড়ো, ঘুমাও তাহলে। গুড নাইট আর বাই।
সহজে কোনো কিছু পাওয়ার মজা নাই, কিন্তু আমগো দোষ জিসান কি কম।
ও
ভাবি লাগে বেটা, লজ্জা লাগে না?
জামুই তো।
তুই চুপ থাক।
আমি তো কিন্তু চিনি না।
চিনো না যে আজকে চিনলা, আরো চিনবা, আস্তে আস্তে চিনবা। আর শুনো,
আরেকবার যদি দেখছি না তন্নির সাথে বাজে আচরণ করতে, টুকরা টুকরা করে
আচ্ছা ভাইয়া, রাখবো।
দু একটা কি বল। হ্যাঁ,
আজকের মতো তাহলে ক্লাস শেষ। সাবধানে সবাই বাসায় যাও, ঠিক আছে? কালকে আবার দেখা হচ্ছে। যোগ বানা ফেললেন, এমন কেন আপনি?
কপাল ভালো, জাফর ভয় পেয়েছে, তাহলে তো আমাকে দিকের মধ্যে বসায় দিত। শুনলাম এই জায়গায় নাকি মাগুর মাছের চাষ করে।
সময় নেই, যে কাজের জন্য এই শহরে আসছো সেটা অতি দ্রুত শেষ করে আন্ডারগ্রাউন্ডে
তন্নি, আই এম সরি। তুই আমাকে চিনোস? চিনোস না তুই আমাকে? তুই আমাকে চিনোস না?
সিরিয়াস ব্যাপার নিয়ে
বন্ধু, হ্যাঁ এই বন্ধু,
আপনার অঞ্চলে শুধু জাফরেরই তো, সরি বলাটা ঠিক হয়নি।
সোহা বলো তো 7 যোগ 3 কত? ভেরি গুড।
আনবো, সবকিছু আনবো। মার খেয়াল রাখিস।
আচ্ছা।